Hi everyone, welcome to today's session in Football and Society. Today we're going to be talking about black and minority ethnic groups and football. Your reading list for today's session is green, understanding physical education, Houlihan, sport and society, a student introduction, which is one of the core texts for this module. We're going to be drawing on some of the Sport England Active People Survey data. And don't get alarmed by some of the terminology because that's now been switched to Active Live Survey. So just be aware of that for this session, future sessions, and also, more importantly, I suppose, for your assignment. And then sport, culture and society from Jarvie, and we're going to be looking at sports participation, ethnicity in England, which is a research document from Sport England. Okay, just an overview with regards to ethnic minority communities. Some broader context before we start. We are a multicultural nation now, so sport should reflect the wider societal makeup. However, there's a low involvement in administration, coaching and officiating positions within sport. Now think of your own sport, football or any other sport that you play, and think about the number of BAME groups in coaching or administrative positions. Does it reflect the wider societal makeup? It is the umbrella term for all racial groups that do not classify themselves as white British. Now we'll talk about that shortly and talk about race and ethnicity and whether or not there's any differences there and whether it should come under that umbrella, that one umbrella term. And it also captures religious and cultural groups as well. Some of the terminology, we've looked at terminology in a previous session with regards to LGB and T, and there are some acceptable and unacceptable terms. Unacceptable being coloured people, half-caste, Negro and Caucasian. Well, actually Caucasia is actually a region that straddles Europe and Asia, so it's difficult to capture that group underneath BAME. Acceptable, however, is black, Asian and mixed race parentage. However, mixed race is unacceptable, mixed race parentage is acceptable. So as with LGB and T and disability and BAME, the terminology is an ever-evolving scene, so it's useful as the modern day coach to understand and keep up to speed with what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. However, some of those on the screen right now, they're pretty obvious, aren't they? So looking at ethnic minority communities again, over half of people in black and minority ethnic, that's 50% of communities, do no sport or physical activity. Fewer than 1 in 5 members of some BAME communities are participating in physical activities as infrequently as once a month. 92% of South Asian women do not take part in the recommended levels of activity, compared to 55% of all women. And we'll look at some of the, we'll drill down into some of the Sport England data about certain groups and levels of participation later in this session. The majority of BAME groups have a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes, 2 diseases which are prevalent in BAME communities. So are you making the link there? Lower participation in sporting activity within certain BAME groups and higher risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. So we've already mentioned prior in this module the benefits of a healthy living and taking part in sport or physical activity. And that is why obviously Sport England's trying to promote, and Sport Wales are trying to promote activity 5 times 30 in youngsters and 3 times 30 for adults. One of the main factors contributing to such low levels of participation is the lack of BAME role models who have little involvement with organising sporting activities. BAME communities are underrepresented in official positions within sports organisations. Only 7% are in the professional workforce, 3.6% in volunteer management and 3% in the coaching workforce. Those from BME communities are almost 50% less likely to volunteer than the general population. Sports Coach UK have identified that only 3% of coaches were from a BME community. So at this stage, reflecting on some of those statistics, I think it's important to revisit the area of sports equity. What is sport equity? Well, it's about fairness in sport. Equality of access, so all societal groups being able to access sport should they want to do so. But it's also important for the majority who take part in sport is to recognise inequality and addressing the issues. So not ignoring them, but trying to put something in place to address those issues. And this is where the equality standard comes into play. So the equality standard is a framework for sport launched in 2004. The standard is owned by the 5 sports councils through the Sports Councils Equality Group. The first ever equality standard for sport was launched in November 2004. It was last updated and relaunched by the group in March 2012 to ensure it remained fit for purpose and reflected the latest equality legislation. What are the benefits of sports equity for your own community club? Well, it attracts new members. It can create a positive image to demonstrate to the community that you reflect the community within it resides. It increases revenue because you're going to have more members. It grows the membership base. Increases volunteer base, so not only participants but also volunteers. Supports funding applications. So we've talked about the equality standard and how the 5 sports councils at that higher level are ensuring that national governing bodies that they work with are also implementing the equality standard at this level. And most funding applications will ensure that the national governing body or the community club has some sort of equality standard in place. Reaching out to groups such as BAME can attract new partnerships for your club. And also it just demonstrates good practice. Okay, that's enough of me talking now. I want you to undertake a task and identify how does this translate to football. Well, there have been many high-level changes, one being the Premier League Equality Inspires Award. I want you to read through the following article listed below and complete the associated task. Okay, good luck.